These are Sony's LinkBuds. They don't look like regular earbuds, so what are they? And more importantly, who are they for? Hello and welcome back to Ellis Reviews, and thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't subscribed, the button is just down there. I do love hang on. It's fine. I do love a good pair of noise cancelling headphones. It's why this studio is full of them. It's also why I made a recent buying guide, which I'll link to above. So when Sony announced their WF-L900 LinkBuds, come on Sony, my interest was immediately piqued. And if you've seen photos of them, you may have been the same, because they do not look like normal earbuds, as you can see. They have this kind of normal earbud piece here, and then this kind of rubbery thing here, and then weirdly, this kind of attached cylindrical thing with a hole going through it. Now, according to Sony, LinkBuds are designed to be worn around the clock and should help users remain in touch with people and places without ever having to pause your personal soundtrack. I have no idea what that means, but I have been using these for about a week and they are absolutely fascinating. So this is my full review of Sony's LinkBuds, and I'm going to try and work out who these are for. Let's just very quickly cover off the LinkBuds specs, because I find them quite interesting. Firstly, they're probably the lightest earbuds I've ever put in my ears. They're 4.1 grams, which is, like I say, very light. But they've got IPX4 water resistance, which is great. It just means you can put them in your ears and never really worry about them getting wet through sweat or rain or anything like that. They're charged, as you might guess, via USB-C, and from that you get 5.5 hours of listening time. Now that increases to 17.5 hours when you put them in the case, because this has 12 hours of charging in it as well. And if you give them a quick 10-minute charge, you get 90 minutes of playback, which is pretty good. When it comes to price, they are £150 in the UK, which pitches them just below the AirPods 3, but a little bit more expensive than some of the budget range earbuds that you can buy. But you're probably still wondering what on earth these are and what they're supposed to do. So the whole point of LinkBuds is that they are the complete opposite, the complete antithesis of noise cancelling headphones. And the reason for that is that they have this hole here. And it's a kind of brute force way of giving you a kind of transparency mode, because it's always there. There's a hole in them. As soon as you put these in your ears, that hole filters in the outside noise. You can't stop it, you can never turn it off. You hear what you're hearing in the headphones, but also what's coming through that hole. Now the sound is actually pumped through that ring. There must be some kind of driver in here, or several drivers that produce the sound, which is quite a smart way of doing this. This might sound really strange in a world where we have wonderful noise cancelling headphones like Sony's own XM4s, but also Apple's brilliant AirPods Pro. Why on earth would you want a pair of headphones or earbuds that are completely the opposite of noise cancelling? As it turns out, there are some fantastic use cases for Sony's LinkBuds, which I'll get onto in a minute. Right, let's look at the fit, sound and battery life of the LinkBuds. And firstly, the fit is actually fantastic. Now, we're told by Sony that this is down to many, many years of extensive ear shape data research or something. No idea what that means, but the results are pretty impressive. Now, it's the loop part that actually goes into your ear, but it's important not to push them too far in, which is quite tempting to do when you first put them in. But you just need to kind of rest them in your ear. And then this rubber thing at the top, you get different sizes of this, by the way, just to fit your ear, but the rubber part kind of pushes against the top of your ear and prevents them from falling out. Now, I do have pretty strange ears. For example, the AirPods Pro are pretty much the only in-ear headphones that don't fall out of my ears when I'm running. And I'm happy to say it's the same deal with the Sony LinkBuds. These do not fall out of my ears if I'm running or shaking my head. They just stay put perfectly. They're really comfortable as well. In fact, you barely know they're there, which I suppose is the whole point. When it comes to sound, the LinkBuds sound pretty much as I expected, which is to say they're not incredible. And in fairness, most of that is down to their design. So if we take the AirPods Pro as an example, they have this kind of rubber tip thing, which fits in your ear and creates a seal. And the effect of that is that you get a much more rounded sound with plenty of bass. Now these don't have that rubber seal, so it's a bit of a thinner sound. There's not much bottom end to speak of really. You can EQ them obviously, but it doesn't make a huge difference really. But having said that, they don't sound cheap, they don't sound tinny. That is the one thing that I was worried about. They're actually quite bright sounding, there's lots of detail there, so they're not going to blow you away sonically, but that's down to their design, and they're not really designed to compete with the likes of the AirPods Pro for sound quality. When it comes to battery life, 5.5 hours, It's not bad, it's par for the course really, but it kind of goes against Sony's whole mantra with these, which is that you kind of keep them in your ears all day and have them ever present. You can't really do that if you need to charge them every 5 hours. But that said, you do obviously get 12 hours of charge in the case, so you can pop them in there for a bit if you need to juice them up. But 5.5 hours, it's all right. But what you're probably wondering now is, what are these LinkBuds like to use? And I think there are 3 scenarios where they make total sense. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably place your earbuds of choice into your ears whenever you're doing stuff around the house. That's certainly what I do with Apple's AirPods Pro. So whether I'm doing the hoovering, washing the car, doing the washing up, or doing that bit of DIY that I keep putting off, I tend to put the AirPods Pro into my ears and listen to audiobooks, podcasts, that sort of stuff. Now there's just one issue with that, which is that because these are noise cancelling, I can't hear anything around me. And sometimes that's great, you want to be locked into your own little world. But if you live in a house with someone else, for instance, sometimes that isn't the best thing in the world. And there's been several times where I've been doing the washing up or something and my girlfriend's walked into the kitchen and scared the hell out of me. And often, if you're doing stuff around the house, you've got dirty hands and stuff, you don't want to keep taking your headphones out. So to have a pair of earbuds that have this kind of ever-present anti-noise cancelling thing where you can hear everything around you, it's actually pretty useful. And I have found that when I've been doing stuff around the house wearing these Sony LinkBuds, I'm just far more aware of what's going on around the house, but I'm still enjoying the content. Whatever it is I'm listening to, I can still hear perfectly, no problem at all. But if my girlfriend comes in, I can have a conversation with her. If I'm out washing the car and someone's walking past behind me, I can avoid spraying them with the pressure washer. They add this kind of convenience throughout everyday life without you missing out on the stuff that you want to listen to. I know you can do that with the AirPods Pro and other noise cancelling headphones by turning on their transparency mode, but it's a bit of a faff. Now, one of my regular workout routines is to run to the gym, do a weights workout, and then run back. And normally I use my AirPods Pro for that. But over the last week or so, I've been using the LinkBuds, and it's quite a revelation. Firstly, that run to the gym takes in lots of different roads, lots of crossings that I have to go over, and I'm always conscious when I'm wearing the AirPods Pro in noise cancelling mode, I'm obviously not that aware of what's going on around me, and if you're crossing a busy road, it always feels a little bit dangerous. Whereas with these, I can hear everything that's going on around me. So I can still hear the podcast I'm listening to, for example, but I can hear the passing traffic, and that does make you feel a little bit safer. When it comes to doing the weights workout in the gym, it is nice to lock yourself away in a little world, which I missed a little bit with these, to be honest. But equally, there is that kind of safety factor while you're walking around with heavy-ish weights around the gym. You know who's around you, you can hear things around you, but you can still hear whatever it is that you're listening to. The only issue, obviously, while running outside was wind noise. So if you have the AirPods Pro on their transparency mode, then you do get a bit more wind noise, but it's manageable. With these, the wind noise, if it's really windy, which it is in the UK at the moment, it can be a bit too much. And the problem with that, because these aren't particularly loud earbuds, I had to crank these up to full volume just to hear the podcast while I was running. So that was a bit of a shame, but if you don't live in a particularly windy area, less of an issue. Equally, if you run on treadmills, no problem at all. So it's just worth bearing that in mind, really. The third scenario is one that I haven't fully tested yet. And this point was made by my podcast co-host Rob on the latest episode of 8 or 16, which I'll link to in the description. But his point was that these are probably pretty good earbuds if you're looking after your newborn baby. Now, I'll be doing this in a few months' time, and I think he's got a good point, because bearing in mind that you can hear everything that's going on, but still listen to whatever it is you're listening to. If you're up in the middle of the night looking after the baby and you still want to kind of catch up on one of your podcasts, you can do that safe in the knowledge that you can still hear what's going on with your little bundle of joy. I really like that idea. I think switching yourself off from the world in that scenario with the AirPods Pro isn't ideal. And again, yeah, you can use transparency mode, but transparency mode, real transparency mode with a hole, is much more effective for that. So I hadn't considered that scenario, and like I say, I've not had a chance yet, obviously, to try it out, but I think it's a really good point. Are you a parent? Is that something that you think these would be useful for? Let me know in the comments. Now, Sony is apparently targeting the LinkBuds at a younger audience who might see them as kind of fashion items that you'd wear all day. That's cool, but I think it's got a much, much wider audience. I think those three scenarios that I just gave you can actually be expanded on quite a bit. There's probably loads of different reasons you'd want to hear everything going on around you. And in terms of a comparison between the AirPods Pro transparency mode and real transparency, there's no comparison. Don't get me wrong, transparency mode on the AirPods Pro is very good, but you pay a premium for it because you're paying for noise cancelling as well. So these are much more expensive than these. Therefore, if noise cancelling isn't something you're bothered about and you're far more concerned about hearing what's going on around you while you're listening to your podcast and your music, then the LinkBuds make total sense. They're made really well, they fit in your ears really well. I love the case. If you know me, you know that I have a big thing about headphone cases, and I think Sony have absolutely nailed it with this. It is, compared to the AirPods Pro, it's a bit fatter, as you can see there. It's a little bit fatter, but it's much more square in its design, and it's just a bit more trouser friendly, I find. Worth mentioning, these are all made from recycled plastic. So all of the plastic you see on these is made from recycled automotive parts, apparently. So not only is the case a decent size, but along with the LinkBuds, it's really environmentally friendly as well. So you're doing your bit for the planet. So I think when it comes to bang for buck, the case, the build quality, the fit, the sound, which is okay, but the fact that you get proper transparency mode, they're a bit of a no-brainer. And while this might be the whole kind of novelty factor, at the minute, I'm finding myself reaching for these Sonys much more than I am my AirPods Pro. And that's interesting because the AirPods Pro, up until now, have been my go-to headphones for most tasks. I wouldn't dismiss them for being gimmicky. I don't think they are at all. I think Sony have really hit the nail on the head here with a pair of earbuds for a very specific audience. They are no nonsense, anti-noise cancelling, and it's quite easy to fall in love with them. The only thing I didn't do is check the calling quality. Apologies, I'm terrible at doing that, but lots of other people have. And the general consensus is that these are pretty good for calls as well. I'll leave a link to a blog from the sound guys who in particular thought they were pretty good for that. So it's worth reading that. But yeah, as an overall package, I really, really like the LinkBuds. They're a surprise hit for me. If you're more interested in noise cancelling headphones, keep watching for a link to my recent buyer's guide. But until next time, thank you as always for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time.